We can't think of history in a little box, like it's back then, this is now.
You know, history is a ribbon. It's always unfurling.
Why are we the way we are?
The people that are in the American Revolution, they're human beings, and the issues were human issues.
What we go through now is some of what we went through then.
The other sides were demonized. There's no compromise. Immigration is an important issue. Race is an important issue. Religion is an important issue. There was a culture war, just like today.
Sometimes we don't get a choice between good and bad. Sometimes we just get a choice between two bads. But you can say, which would bring the greater good?
Across Ocean County, the events of the Revolution unfolded in personal stories of bravery, betrayal, and revenge. On farms, in taverns and townships, in the vast pine barrens and the sandy beaches, the battlefield tragedies touched every part of life and every kind of person. But the stories we inherit and continue to gather will always have more perspectives to uncover.
The challenge with much of the archives and the records is that it's still predominantly records that are, white male voices.
From the very earliest days of its founding, New Jersey has had people of African descent living here. The overwhelming majority of them were enslaved.
But also you had African Americans who were free people, active members of the society, actors, shaping the outcomes of society, but also very limited in terms of what they can do because these colonial societies were also shaped by ideas of race.
Before colonization, before the Revolutionary War, it would be hundreds of thousands of Lenape people, along that Atlantic Ocean border.
When we're speaking about indigenous peoples, we're not all the same by ourselves. At once we were thousands on thousands of different nations with different belief systems, different creation stories.
Whether you were a propertied white person, whether you were a woman, whether you were an enslaved person, whether you were a free black person, whether you were Native American, the slogans, the ideas that drove the American Revolution spoke volumes to some of the things that people lacked. The rights that they lacked, the opportunities that they lacked, and they saw that in the language of the revolution to fight.
The Lenape people, they were very friendly people. I think that they were very conflicted. Some sides were siding with the colonists and then some sides were siding with the British, and that would further create a divide and inter-turmoil between the Lenape people and those different clan families.
Women were not exempt from the conflict. Of course, we have the legendary ladies that we talk about, like Molly Pitcher, Margaret Cochran. But what about the ladies and children at home getting raided by marauders from the opposite side?
It takes a lot more time to identify records that speak to Black experiences.
We have many, many stories of men and women who ran away and joined either the Patriots or the Tories during the Revolutionary War with the hopes of being set free at the end of their war service.
The Quakers helped everybody, regardless of nationality, race, age, gender. Everybody's equal. Nobody should be mistreated. Everybody deserves your sympathy and compassion. That's the core belief.
With women and children, many of them who are displaced become camp followers. They follow their husbands and fathers around in continental encampments. There are ladies who manage to stay home, but you're always at the risk of being widowed, destitute. You are subject to the Quartering Act, where officers from either side can just hole up in your house and use your resources.
African Americans were caught up in the revolutionary fervor and the talk of freedom.
By and large, the revolution was an opportunity for just about everybody to make positive social change happen.
Unfortunately, not everyone of African descent who fought in the war became free.
What's important is that we draw the parallels and say, somebody else went through this too.
America by itself is nothing more than a melting pot of multiple different cultures.
All history has the potential to be relevant, even bringing it forward to today. You have to understand what happened first and how things happened and why they happened.
We like our legends. They're easier to understand, but if we don't look at the details, I think we miss something along the way.
The story is always more complex.
There's nobody that this conflict doesn't touch.
I like to think that it never ended. Whether you have women's suffrage, the civil rights movement, as time passes and we make progress in the world towards that more perfect union, this is that story.
Democracy is difficult.
It's still a fledgling thing. I mean, it's just this great experiment that continues.
All throughout the world, all throughout history, there are always people who are going to fight for power, prestige, and profit, the 3 Ps.
We live in a rough, fallen world, and we have to stand up sometimes and fight for what's good and what's right to preserve it.
A much later American general said, "War is hell," and anybody that's taken part in it will, I'm sure, back that statement up. But you also see a lot of compassion and a lot of gallantry, patriotism, bravery. It can bring out the good in a lot of people.
We fought for freedoms to create this country.
You know, we've had many presidents in our history speak about how freedom and democracy is not some idea in a bottle. It's an ongoing thing.
We have tried to close. The King and the George are pleased. I say we are no longer New Yorkers or Virginians or Pennsylvanians. We are Americans. We should act as one. Unity is our only weapon.
Ocean County is growing so much. Soon we'll be over 700,000 people. And I think it's important that people realize the history.
I think as the county grows and as the population grows, and obviously the county will be making investments to ensure that we continue the quality of life that we would like, but we also need to ensure that people can find value and find pride in knowing the historical significance Ocean County's had in the American Revolution.
There wasn't a whole lot of politics in this southern part.
We really weren't involved in the decision making, but we were involved in a lot of the repercussions that went from the decision making.
You had a lot of divide.
Brother on brother, sister on sister, you had loyalists, patriots, and then a third of the country that just wanted to survive.
None of this was easy. It was hard. Everybody, even the people who agreed with each other, were fighting each other how to do it and how to do it the right way. And Ocean County was a backwater back then. We didn't have much say in anything.
To me, we have a very unique ending to the Revolutionary War story here in Ocean County. The beginning is Philadelphia and George Washington, but the ending is definitely Ocean County.
People always think that we're in this unprecedented time of conflict, and where we are now is so much worse than where we've been. But when you study history and you study the American Revolution, you can see that people have been through these conflicts before. And even though it's a different circumstance, we share similarities in studying those time periods. We're able to understand better what we're going through now, to put it into perspective.
When you go to these places and you truly see them come to life, you can physically become a part of that history. And I think it really is the only time I've ever really had it able to sink in, to truly understand the sacrifice and the commitment and the level of effort it took to get us where we are today.
What they did led to what I consider the greatest political experiment in the history of the world, and that's the United States of America.
It also gives us a chance to take an honest look at where we are today.
Where are we going as a country? Where are we going historically? What are we leaving behind?
Now that we have had so many years to think about what the revolution has meant for us as a nation, it was really many revolutions taking place at the same time.
I think it's important for people to realize that in order to make our future better, we have to look at the past and see how we can improve.
Safety, education for their children, safe communities, clean communities are all something that they wanted then, and they're something that we want today. So I think looking back to the echoes of the past can help us carry forward our future.
We can't forget where we came from and where we are today.
Nothing is set in stone, and if you really believe in a cause, you can do something about it.
A lot of guys are still buried in the soil below our feet, and it's a nice nod to them that they're there. As a veteran, I think that's important.
We're all different. People from all over the world that settle here and develop their families and grow. We are all different, and we all have our own cultures. And one thing that is common is we all live here, and we all want the best.
I think one of the most successful ways for us as a country to come together, us as a people, us as a community, in all scales, even the world, is celebrating each other's differences.